What's up, guys? It's finally time for a new tier list. Actually, haven't made one in a while, so this time we have Zoroark. We also have Sableye in it. We're gonna start straight up with one of the worst Pokemon in lane, which is Cinderace. Should never played in lane. Has no last hitting. Please don't do it. Please just don't do it. Just only if you meme, or if you're a very good player, you can maybe do it, but otherwise, would not recommend it. Duraludon, actually quite solid Pokemon. He's currently some of the highest win rate Pokemon in the game, but mainly for jungle, but I do think his laning phase is not as bad as people think it is. Garchomp, honestly, I think I'm a fan of Garchomp. Even in lane, I think he can do quite well. I think he's just underestimated, maybe a bit more difficult to play, but I honestly think Garchomp is quite really tough, solid B+. It's just, I mean, defender Pokemon have it difficult. It's quite decent to Sableye, but yeah, I think that's about it. Unite move is also not too bad. I think Ninetales is also B+, even though Ninetales, I think if this struggles a bit on this map, I think it's totally playable. You can do it, but you're not going to really carry games if you play it still. It has a good laning phase, but it falls off pretty hard into late game as well sometimes. And certain games where you just get ganked and you fall behind, it's very hard for this Pokemon to come back into the game. Cramorant, I think, is solid A in my eyes still. Just a very good Pokemon, does a lot. And has good early game, a good mid game, a good late game, is very safe. And it's a Pokemon you can play full heal on without any worries because you have Dive. You can always get away quite easily. Gengar has fallen off in lane. I don't really like it too much anymore. It's fine in solo queue, but I would not necessarily recommend playing it too much right now. Machamp has fallen a bit, but still quite solid Pokemon. But yeah, Machamp has been not on the top, but he's still quite strong, quite annoying to play against. Absol actually also has dropped off. I normally have Absol like somewhere here in lane, but Absol also has dropped off. They just keep nerfing this Pokemon. I feel like for no reason. I really don't know why they nerf this Pokemon, but they just keep nerfing Absol, and I'm not a big fan of it. I keep nerfing it. Mr. Mime still belongs in S tier. Doesn't matter what. I don't know if that's a surprise or not, but to me he's still clearly S tier. You have Slowbro, which I think is a solid A tier as well. Quite good tank now. He got some buffs as well in the latest patches. If you play Skite, or if you play Tank Bit, Surf Telekinesis, he's actually quite solid. Venusaur to me is A+, just because of how strong the late game of this Pokemon is right now. If he just gets some experience, he's gonna sweep over games quite easily. Lucario is still solid A to me as well. Lucario is just a totally good all-rounder. You know, it's very difficult to play, and it's a bit outclassed sometimes, but it's still quite fine. Talonflame, I just don't think you should play Talonflame in lane currently. Not a great fan of this one. Eldegoss is very strong right now. Gonna actually bump it into A+ tier. I think that's quite deserving. Greninja, I just only put Greninja up here because it's slightly better than Cinderace. It's still pretty bad as well. Absolutely bad, but I think it's still a bit better than Cinderace, and I'd rather have a lane Greninja. But honestly, my lane Greninja is always terrible. I just put it in C tier. I don't want anyone to play this, even though I just did a video about it. It is terrible. I wouldn't recommend. Crustle, I think Crustle is currently pretty bad when it comes to the game. I don't think I put him higher than B tier. I think Snorlax is quite decent. I'm not sure what it deserves. Maybe a B+ tier. I can solo queue, it's obviously not too great. If you play like your team ranked, it's actually quite fine. I think A tier is totally fine for it as well. I think Charizard is just a strong character, even though his laning phase is bad. But yeah, I think Charizard is just decently strong, so I'm also going to put him into A. Pikachu, I think B+, similar to Ninetales, has the same issues. Has good laning phase, but I don't know. I just think there's just something lacking about certain mages right now in the game. Zaura, B tier, not a big fan of this Pokemon right now. Gardevoir, I'm going to put into B+ tier, maybe a bit higher in the future, because Gardevoir actually doesn't feel too bad in lane anymore. I still rather put Plate in jungle, but yeah, it can actually work in lane now if you play against Pokemon that are also bad, you know, but it's always the issue. You can lane with any Pokemon if the opponents also have bad lane Pokemon, right? But you never know. I think Blissey is finding a lot of strength back, and this Pokemon is very good into Sableye, thanks to Safeguard, right? Keeps allies alive. I think Blissey is pretty good. You see how the support's up here. Blastoise, I think, is a solid A as well. The A tier is going to be very full, but I think it's totally fair. I think Surf Hydro Pump is good. Water Spout Rapid Spin is decent. I actually kind of like it. Actually, I think B+ is fair. I think B+ is... You know, B+ doesn't mean they're bad. They're totally fine Pokemon to pick, right? Mamoswine deserves A tier. Actually, I feel like if I put Snorlax, Blastoise, I'm going to put Snorlax also here. Just put Mamoswine a bit above. Defenders do struggle still a bit. You know, they're not having the greatest time. So let's put them up here. Sylveon has always been good. Always a very solid pick. Hyper Voice. Mystic Fire is also viable now. They made Draining Kiss actually kinda okay. So Mystic Fire or Hyper Voice, doesn't matter what you play. Sylveon can be very good right now. Beedon is just this Pokemon that just never leaves because he just doesn't get changes, but when you play against a good Greedent, you just notice how OP this Pokemon is or how strong it can be. So it's just always here in the A+ tier, pretty much since forever. The Sableye goes down into the bottom trio. And yeah, I hope that doesn't surprise anyone. It's just, yeah, bad. Serena's still quite good, even after the recent nerfs. I easily can put into A+ tier. I don't think it is S tier, but A+ tier. Dragonite is one of those Pokemon I never want to see in lane. It just doesn't work. I don't know, they always are so useless. And I mean, you can maybe make it work, but then again, like, it's just not very good right now. Dragonite also struggling in the meta right now a bit. So when we comment playing it too much. Trevenant is actually having a difficult time right now. I'm not sure, like, it just doesn't feel that great. I think, again, defenders just don't feel too good on this map to begin with, and I think I'm just going to put them next to the other defenders down here. Maybe the Slowbro is a bit high up here, but I do like Slowbro. Aegislash, I think, is still an easy A+ to me. Even after the nerfs, he's still an absolutely insane Pokemon. Hoopa, B tier, just because it has still more value than these Pokemon. It has a pretty bad win rate, but I would rather have a Hoopa in lane than a Cinderace, I gotta say. Azumarill deserves an easy A+ tier. Very strong Pokemon. I feel like you can see most around us are all up here. It's such a strong row though around us. Espeon is still struggling a bit. It's getting better, but yeah, it's just alright. Like, it's just alright. That's all I can say. All these mages down here are, you know, next to each other are kind of alright. You know, you can pick them, and they have good laning phase. But if you get ganked or if you just fall a bit behind, you're not going to be doing too much compared to all of these Pokemon. Because all these Pokemon can kill stuff 1v1. They can score a lot. And they have better Rayquaza fights as well most of the time, so it's just very, very difficult. Delphox in lane, I'm not a big fan of Delphox. Like, this goes back to this category as well. It has pretty bad laning phase, I would say. I never enjoy having to lane with the Delphox on my team, and it does struggle quite a bit. Glaceon, I mean, Glaceon's honestly not too bad, right? It's quite a fine Pokemon when it comes to laning phase, but then as well again, yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. It even has worse laning phase. Because it's the worst EV, and you need a long time to get to level 6 before you actually get a lot of value done. So I think it also probably deserves somewhere to be here. I just noticed that my tier list now is getting bigger, so I'm going to make this smaller, since we're filling up the B+ tier by quite a lot. Then we have Buzzwole, which is also just... I mean, I kind of want to put him down here, but you can do carry games with him. It's just very difficult in late game when someone has full heal or eject button, or your leech life gets stopped by something, then you just... It feels pretty bad when your stuff gets stopped, I have to say. Tyranitar, I only put Tyranitar in A tier because this Pokemon is absolutely insane, right? This Pokemon is very overpowered, I swear, he's so strong. And it's difficult to play lane, but there's a lot of times where you make it to late game, you're level 13, and you still just kill the entire enemy team, you never die. It is just a ridiculous Pokemon. Mew, easily A+ tier. Still, I'm not going to put it in S anymore, because I think it has dropped a decent amount of value, but it's still quite strong. Then we have Dodrio. It's an okay laner. Nothing too amazing, but totally works as well. Even after the nerfs, I think it's still probably an A-tier Pokemon. Yeah. Scizor. Scizor is quite decent. I think the only problem with Scizor is, like, I like Scizor, but he gets kited quite a lot, and it's difficult for him to catch up to certain targets. I think that's like the biggest issue right now that he has, but I think he's quite good. I mean, again, B+ doesn't necessarily be bad, right? B+ is totally reasonable. Maybe he deserves A tier. Maybe he deserves A tier if I, you know, have these Pokemon in A tier. Actually, I'm just gonna put him A tier. I think he deserves A tier. And now our tier list is getting even bigger. I'm gonna make this smaller again. I didn't expect, you know, to have multiple rows, but yeah, it's pretty mid-heavy right now. All right. Next up we have Clefable, which is very strong. I mean, it's alright. Clefable, I think Moonlight and Follow Me is actually quite good right now. It's a decent support. I'm gonna put it into B+ tier. Has good laning phase, has good team fighting. Zoroark, I think Zoroark is still incredibly strong Pokemon. I'm gonna put him into A as soon as he gets to level 5. He rolls over games like it's nothing. And now we have Sableye. Sableye joins Mr. Mime up here in the S tier. This Pokemon is absolutely broken. It is so strong, and I hate playing against it. It's just so annoying. This Pokemon is ridiculous. It stuns you for 4 seconds. It's pretty much unkillable. It can never be revealed. Permanently invisible. It is so annoying. Let me take a look at this list. I think it's quite fine. And there's obviously things that, you know, could be a bit questionable that I've done. Like these tier, some of these could maybe be an A tier, right? Some of these maybe might have been an PP plus tier like Garchomp or Slowbro or Tyranitar could be PP plus for laning phase. But I do think all these Pokemon are decent when it comes across the entire game. And yeah, Snorlax would also be somewhere between here. Blastoise can be between here. Trevenant can be between here. I just do think defenders kind of struggle a bit right now. So I don't want to put them too high when it comes to that. So yeah, this is the for the lane tier list. And we're going to head into what the jungle tier list next. Let's start again with Cinderace as well. Now we'll just start with Cinderace. So you're going to put Cinderace, I think, into... it's between A and B plus tier. It does work. It needs a team though. Like Cinderace is very good if it has a team, right? It needs a team and then it can actually be quite good. Garchomp, honestly, I'm going to put Garchomp into A plus tier. I don't know, I'm a Garchomp fan. I think he's quite strong. And in jungle, when you get to level 5, you can always secure early game quite decent. You get to level 9 fast, you can take over games easily. I think Gengar's fallen off a bit after the nerfs. You do notice the range nerfs a decent amount. He also lost a bit of damage. And I'm going to put him a bit down. Still amazing solo queue Pokemon. But that's struggled a tiny bit. I think Cramorant is underrated. I'm going to put him in here. Cramorant still totally works. And is a great jungle Pokemon as well. Ninetales I don't want to put in here, but I actually have a interesting Ninetales video coming up. Machamp, I think he has strong gangs, but is a bit lackluster anyways. I'm going to put him to B plus tier. I think Absol, I still can carry games with Absol, but it's got much more difficult, I would say. So I think A tier is reasonable still. Venusaur, I put into A plus tier, has become a very strong jungler, just because you get so much experience there. And after the Venusaur buffs, this Pokemon is an absolute monster again. So easily A plus tier for me. Talon, B plus. Keeps falling off, nothing too amazing. Greninja still easily up here. Great rookie Pokemon. Surf is still insane. If you play Water Shuriken, I would have put it somewhere here. If you play Surf, I would put it up here. Charizard for me is S tier. Honestly, one of the most consistent best junglers the game currently has. Yeah, it's just even they keep nerfing Charizard's Unite move, but it just doesn't matter. This Pokemon is very strong. Gardevoir, I think I'm still gonna put Gardevoir in A tier, just because it can be invaded quite easily, and if you get invaded on this Pokemon, I feel like the game is kind of over for you. But it's very good right now, and the buffs were for sure very good, and I think, Gardevoir slowly making a comeback. Blastoise used to be a jungler, can still maybe be played, and B plus is fair. Decidueye, it just has such a hard time into most of these Pokemon. It can be played, but yeah, it's quite difficult, and there's a lot of counters. Now with Sableye as well, if you play Decidueye into Sableye, you're not going to have a great time. I think Serena is a great jungler, just because you get to level 5 early on, but you might miss out on attack mate stacks, which also do matter a lot, and the nerfs to drop kick still hurts Serena a tiny bit as well. Then we have Mystical Fire Sylveon, which I think is also a fine jungler. The only problem is that it lacks K pressure, right? Like, it doesn't really kill anything, it just damages, and if you just can't kill anything, it can be difficult. It also has no objective securing or objective last hitting. That's why I think B plus tier is fine. Zaora, yeah, it's not too amazing, right? It's alright. You can play it. Actually, maybe I'm put some into B tier. Let's just put these in B tier. It is not amazing right now. And I think Blastoise is also B tier. I don't think I'm going to use the C tier. I don't think there's any Pokemon that is like super bad that belongs into C tier. So Dragonite also has fallen off a quite decent amount. I think B plus is still fair, but not really the greatest jungler. Even though it's kind of weird, I thought he would come back because of Rayquaza. But yeah, it does seem to struggle a tiny bit right now as well. Aegislash can decently jungle. I would still rather have it in lane, but it can for sure jungle. Duraludon, actually, I have to put Duraludon S tier. This Pokemon, currently the highest win rate Pokemon in the game, for a reason. It is honestly very underrated. Everything around Duraludon always gets nerfed, and Duraludon just stays the same, on the same win rate for like the past half a year. It's just around 52 to 53% win rate, and it just keeps being there. I think the biggest issue is just this Pokemon is boring to play, and that's why no one does it. That's why no one plays the Pokemon, right? Because it's kind of boring. So it's just very straightforward, I guess. Espeon jungle, it can work. It's nothing too amazing. Delphox, I really like Delphox. I think it's an amazing jungle Pokemon with Flame Charge and gives you so much mobility. Glaceon, also still very strong on the Icy Wind build, or Icy Spear. Both of these builds are super easy to play. They do a lot of damage. You can't really miss that. And it has very early game power spikes. Buzzwole can jungle, but Buzzwole just has the issue that he can't carry late game. So if you go jungle, you take all the experience for late game, you're just going to be yeah, your team might just struggle if you take all the experience. Trevenant to me is S tier. In jungle, again, he's similar to Gardevoir though, that if you get invaded, the game is kind of over. So it can be very difficult sometimes if the enemies have a Sableye and he keeps invading your jungle after level 5 or something. It can be quite difficult, but doesn't matter what this Pokemon is, an absolute monster and very OP. Mew honestly can jungle, but it has fallen off in jungle, I would say, just because it lost a decent amount of damage. I'm going to put it into A tier. Dodrio is still A+ to me. It's not a Pokemon, doesn't matter what. I guess I didn't put Scyther into the lane tier list, but Scyther is obviously a terrible laner. Scyther is also not really a good Pokemon, I would say. I'm going to put this, if you play Scissor or Scyther in jungle, there's just better options right now. I always say Scyther is just a terrible Zoroark. That's what it feels like to me. So I'm just going to put them down here. Then we have Zoroark, which I think is amazing. A+ tier easily for me. I'm not sure about S tier for this Pokemon, just because late game is difficult, right? Late game is super difficult. You make one mistake, the game is instantly over. Similar to Scyther, but Zoroark has even better early game. Like Scyther is very similar to, you have very strong early game, but Zoroark's early game is just a billion times better, and they both struggle late game as well. So yeah, Zoroark just for sure wins much more. And it's honestly amazing, fun Pokemon. And why I put also Scizor down here is because Scissor's jungling is just too slow. Like, he wants to stay in lane and just punch someone over and over again. He doesn't want to go back to his jungle and farm it. It's just, you lose a lot of tempo. It doesn't really do a lot of damage to the camps, so I'm not a big fan. Azumarill is honestly a very solid jungler. I really like it. But I'm going to put it into A tier, which is quite reasonable, I think. And that should be about it. And then Ninetales S tier for my next video. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, I think Lucario, we don't want to, I guess Lucario is a C tier jungler. I don't think you want to put this Pokemon into jungle. You know, all of these Pokemon that are kind of damage dealers, that don't want to damage, don't want to jungle on really. If you put them in jungle, you just lose a lot of value. So obviously, it fits up the, maybe I guess Lucario goes up here still, and then C tier is the Pokemon that shouldn't be jungling. Even though I think Eldegoss could in theory jungle sometimes. It actually used to be played. You take the first few things and get some experience, put someone else in jungle. But yeah, obviously you don't want to see any of these Pokemon in jungle. So Sableye probably could jungle, but much better laner. But honestly, if you Sableye jungle, he's still probably quite insane as well. So maybe actually you have to put him into S tier. I would not recommend jungling with this Pokemon. I don't think you should, but it probably works. So yeah, it probably works quite well because this Pokemon is just overpowered. So I hope you guys enjoyed these tier lists. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!